My name is Elizabeth Coffey, and I am a mixed media artist based in Richmond, Virginia. I work primarily with oil paint and lace fabric and incorporate some other materials. And I would say that I'm a figurative painter. Most of what I'm exploring, I'm doing through the lens of the female experience. Well, I guess like a lot of artists, from as far back as I can remember, I was drawing and making things, always making all kinds of crafts, and I started sewing and making my own clothes. So really, just anything. A lot of humble materials, drawing on paper bags and just whatever was available. It's interesting. I made art and I was interested in art all my life and all through school. Then when it came time to choose a college, I wasn't certain that I was going to go to art school. And I came to VCU with the idea that I wanted to be a fashion illustrator because I loved fashion and I loved sewing and making clothes and I loved drawing. So that, in my mind, seemed perfect. But I went through the Art Foundation program, and near the end of my freshman year, a professor suggested to me that maybe I should consider communication arts and that I had talents more in the design realm, which I had never considered. I didn't really even know what communication arts was. But I applied and got in the program, and I think I was pretty well suited to it, or am well suited to it, because I got out of school and I worked in that field my entire career, and I still work in it some. I'm self-employed now, and I have become more and more, invested more and more of my time into my painting and fine art career. But the communication arts or graphic design background has helped me immensely. I think having a design sensibility and a design eye is really important for whatever media you work in, creative-wise. So I think it was a valuable education that led to a career involving design, but also has been a real strength in my fine art. Well, the themes continue to evolve, but one thing that I've thought about a lot, for a long time, is the tension between the seen and the unseen, what we present to the world and what our true identity is. So painting on lace fabric really allows me to explore that, because I'm able, to have a very highly rendered surface on the lace fabric, and then play around with things that are under it, colors, words. I've started working with vintage textiles. The lace is also a reference to the domestic realm, where women traditionally expressed a lot of their creativity. And so thinking about that has also led me to think about women's work. Paid and unpaid labor, the kind of rules and restrictions, spoken and unspoken, that women have lived with and continue to live with. So I'm thinking some about history and about how a lot of things haven't changed that much in the last 100 or couple hundred years. I'm thinking about freedom more and more lately, and that has made me want to explore things like hanging my pieces not mounted on stretchers, hanging them outdoors, and things like that. So lots of things to explore. I think it's a combo. I did decide a few years ago to try to focus a lot on lace fabric and what I can do with that. And so in that regard, the material influences the work. And there's a lot that can be done with it. I mean, it can be sewn, it can be shaped, it can obviously be painted on, which I've been doing. It can be made into something 3D. So I'm very interested, in exploring the limits of the material. It varies a little bit, but a typical process would be that I start with a face as a reference, a photo that I want to work from, and sometimes there are stock photos that I purchase. I've worked from family photos. I've worked from historic photos, but I'm generally looking for an expression, usually a calm expression that to me maybe doesn't tell the whole story of the person. So I find a photo and I gesso lace curtains. That's what I'm working with now, is lace curtains, and usually wrap that around the canvas. I draw, a rough outline of the face on the curtain lace, and I paint it, and then I separate that from the canvas that's underneath. I put the lace over a colored background, and I might add words to the other panel to see how they'll work together. So one piece kind of becomes a two-part piece, and I like that tension between the two. So I don't have a great idea what the finished piece is going to look like, because I don't know what it's going to look like when I pull the lace off of the piece underneath. Sometimes the holes in the lace might fall in like in the middle of an eye or something, and the color really comes through in a different way. So I like that element of chance that's incorporated. That was a great experience. That was my first residency, and I hope I'll get to do more. In that particular case, it was a 3-week-long residency, and I applied to work with a certain artist who was like the mentor for the time. And there were 6 visual artists, and we had studio space, and we could work on whatever we wanted or not work, relax. And he gave us feedback. And there was also a cohort of musicians and one of writers. So all 3 were going on at the same time on this really nice campus out in a beautiful, lush, kind of remote area. It was great to have that time and space, and freedom and input. That's when I first tried hanging a piece outside. That was the birth of that idea that I'm still exploring. So it was a great experience. I'm sure we could have a very long conversation about that. And I still ask for advice from people about my own career. One thing I would say that I guess maybe I regret a little bit is to be open to opportunities and take opportunities when they present themselves to you. And don't think too much about, is this a good opportunity, or am I up for this? Can I do this? Just the more opportunities, the more people you can meet, it just all will impact your work and the trajectory of your career. Art. I really like that it has enabled me to grow as a person, because you have to do more than just create the work. You have to learn how to talk about the work, and you get to meet other people, and it's really gratifying when people want to show your work or purchase it. That all really helps you develop and expand as a person. I would say probably my favorite little part of the whole process is still just thinking about ideas. I just love to think about, what if I did this? What if I tried that? That never gets old.